Hello everyone, we are Robin and Graham. We've certainly done our fair share of maneuvering through airports, and sometimes it can be challenging.
Whether you are headed off on your first adventure, flying to a new country, we know that there can be a lot of anxiety surrounding a travel day, so we created a beginner's airport guide to help you along your way.
So like Robin said, we have created a beginner's airport guide that's going to help you make your way from home to your destination. So we're going to structure this video essentially how your day is going to go. We're going to start before the airport, getting to the airport, at the airport, going through security, and what you do after you've gone through security.
So before you even get to the airport, there's going to be a couple things that you're going to want to do to make your day go a lot smoother. So if you haven't already, you're going to want to download the app of the airline that you are flying with, because it generally allows you to add your trip to it using either your booking reference or the flight number, and it'll have all of that information ready for you on your phone. Now, if you are within 24 hours before your flight actually departs, then it might even allow you to check in, and this can be done through the app or it can be done on their website.
So while you're checking in, it's going to give you a few different bits of information. First, you're going to get your boarding pass, which is obviously essential. Second, it's going to allow you to add any checked bags. Now, Robin and I typically carry-on, so we don't have to have that added fee. But if you are checking a bag, this is where you'll do it. And sometimes you'll be able to choose your seats. Some airlines will let you pick as you check in. Some of them will also charge you to pick your seats.
So make sure you double check that. If you find that the app and the website aren't allowing you to check in, don't worry. Some airlines, depending if you're going maybe more so a budget airline or a smaller airline, actually want you to check in person. So this can be done at the airport the next day when your flight is actually departing.
So the next big step that you want to do before you get to the airport is make sure you have all your documents. This is going to include your passport, which is, if you're flying international, probably the most important thing. Check if you have your visa and if you need a visa, and then check what is required to actually get into the country you're going to. Do you need any onward travel? Do you need proof of accommodation, proof of funds? Any of those things may be needed, but this is just all done through research that you'll have to do when you're booking your trip initially. Another key point with this is to make sure that you put your passport somewhere that is, one, safe, but also easily accessible, because you're going to need it at all of these stages that we're going to walk you through. So whether that's a fanny pack, safe spot in your backpack, make sure you know where it is and that it's easily accessible.
The last thing that you are going to want to do before you even get to the airport is make sure you know the luggage limits of the airline that you are flying with, because they will differ slightly depending on if you are going with a larger airline or more of a budget or a smaller airline. Sometimes those ones can be a little bit more strict with their carry-on and personal size requirements. So if you are like us and you like to travel carry-on, you like the ease of that, just make sure it's within the dimensions and it's under the weight that it's supposed to be. Now, if you've gone to the airport before, some people get away with some really large bags as carry-on, but that's never a guarantee. So if you are nervous about it, take a tape measure, have a weigher, just make sure that your bag meets all of that, so that if they ask you at the check-in desk to check the size or put it on the scale, that you know that you are good to go. If you are deciding to do checked baggage, then just make sure that it is under the specific weight that it needs to be. If you are nervous about it not arriving to your destination, getting lost along the way, then I would suggest getting an air tag and slipping that into your luggage so that you can track it on its journey and see where it's at. Something that Graham and I actually noticed on our last trip when we flew out to Ontario for a friend's wedding is that Air Canada actually sent us updates of our checked luggage, and I didn't have an air tag in it, but it told us when it had boarded the plane, when it was heading to the baggage drop-off. So maybe some other airlines are going to be doing that as well, and it might just ease your anxiety that way too. But I usually have an air tag that I put in our luggage just to be safe.
Okay, next, now that you are all set and you've got everything in line to get to the airport, it's time to actually make your way there. Now, this can look pretty different in most cities. If you're in Saskatoon like us, it maybe takes about 10 or 15 minutes to get to the airport. But if you're in a bigger city like Toronto or LA or New York with some big population, it may take a little bit longer. So that's probably something that you're going to want to build into your timing of your day. Maybe give yourself an hour, hour and a half, depending on what traffic is like, and make sure that you are going to the correct airport. Now, again, Saskatoon, we only have one airport. Pretty simple. But if you're going to New York or London that have multiple airports, just do a quick double check to make sure you're heading to the correct one.
You also want to make sure that you are heading to the correct terminal. Now, the larger the airport, generally the more terminals they have. Now, this isn't as big of a deal as getting to the right airport, because if you happen to go to the wrong terminal, that's okay. There's ways at the airport to get in between the terminals. It just takes a little bit more time. Sometimes you have to take a SkyTrain or a bus or a shuttle, or just walk to the next one.
So another thing that you're going to want to take into consideration is the timing of your day. Airlines typically like to get you there 3 hours before an international flight and only 2 hours ahead of a domestic flight. Or even earlier, like us. Better be safe than sorry.
If you happen to be taking yourself to the airport and plan on leaving your vehicle there when you leave for your trip, then you want to check the parking requirements. I know that although it's not an issue that we face here at our little small airport, sometimes the larger ones you actually have to pre-book your spot. So just make sure you read up on the airport parking requirements that you are going to so that you are all prepared. Also, when you drop off your vehicle, make sure you take a picture of the row and the section that you're in, or you write it down in your phone, because I can almost guarantee that you are not going to remember where you parked when you get back from your wonderful, awesome trip.
You also want to build in a bit of time to get from your car to the terminal. Sometimes it can be a long walk, or you even have to hop on a shuttle to go from the parking lot to the airport. So just be sure you know how long that is actually going to take.
But that brings you to the airport. You've made it. You've done all of the things that you need to do before getting there. You're prepared, and now the travel day has officially started. If you are already checked in and you are doing carry-on only, you have your boarding pass, then you can skip these next steps and you can head straight to security. However, if you need to check a bag, then you need to find where your airline has the check-in gates. Now, if you've entered the doors and you can't see your airline right away, don't worry. Just locate one of the really big boards that has a list of all of the flights that are going out. This board is organized by the time that the flights are departing. So find your departing time. It'll say your flight number, your destination, and if you go all the way to the right, it will say the check-in gate. So usually it's listed as A, B, C, D, etc. with some kind of number behind it. So just look up at the huge signs all across the ceiling and find your gate. If you are still lost, then find one of the information desks or one of the workers, and they will help point you in the right direction. Once you find your check-in gate, then you are either going to see some kiosks, which are machines that allow you to do the check-in process yourself, or you're going to see a lineup of people waiting to talk to the workers behind the desk. Now, if you happen to go to one of the kiosks, then it's going to ask you to scan your passport, and it's going to pull up all of that check-in information for you. It's going to print off your boarding pass, and if you have a checked luggage, then it'll print that bag tag for you as well. Now, even though you've done that all yourself, once you put the bag tag on your checked luggage, you are going to have to hop into that line and drop it off with one of the workers. Or if you are at a newer airport, sometimes this is a self check-in process as well, and you drop your bag on a conveyor belt, it scans it, and then it sends it away. If the line is big, don't worry. This is one of the main reasons why they ask you to go early to the airport, as well as the lineup that you will see at security. Those are going to take the longest before you actually get into the departure side.
Okay, so you've finished your check-in process and dropped your bags off. What next? Now you're going to look for a couple of different signs. You're either going to see departures, security check, passport control, or all gates. Follow those signs and you'll head straight for security. Okay, so you've arrived at security, and like Robin said, you may encounter a line. Don't panic, you'll be okay because we've got there so early. Couple standard rules that you'll see at security. One, all liquids have to be in a 100 milliliter bottle or less, and they have to fit into a 1 liter bag. This doesn't include your water bottle if it's empty, so make sure you drink all of your water before you get to the security check. Second, you're going to want to take all of your large electronics out of your bag. So your computers, your iPads, etc. all have to go in their own bin. Third, you're going to want to take everything out of your pockets. Take your belt off, take your phone out of your pocket, take your wallet out of your pocket. Okay, now that your bags and everything are on the conveyor belt, you will go through a human scanner. You'll either do a walk-through one or one where you have to put your arms above your head. Either way, just follow the security officer and you'll have no problems. So the human scanner may beep. That's likely because of a few different reasons. One, you may have just forgotten something in your pocket, which everybody does. It's not a big issue. Two, they just selected you for a random search. They'll probably wipe your palms or search your bags a little bit more. Again, no need to worry. Just go along with what they say.
Also, make sure that you do not take any videos or any photos. They do not like it during this process.
Now that you have cleared the random search portion, you'll be able to collect your bags. If you don't see your bags on the conveyor belt, there's likely an officer that has taken it and is just inspecting it a little bit more. Sometimes they find little items in there that they want to just double check on. So again, no need to worry. Just go and collect the bags, and if they have any questions, simply answer them. You have now made it through security. Just grab all your things, put your belt back on, and go enjoy the airport.
And don't worry if you were nervous during that whole process. Doesn't matter how many times you go through security. I don't know what it is about it, but everyone is nervous the whole time, even if you have nothing to hide.
A universal feeling.
Once you step out of security, it may look like you've entered what looks like a shopping mall. And this is the duty-free area of the airport. It has a whole bunch of different things like alcohol and perfumes and really anything that you can think of. You can either take a look around or you can do what we do and just head right on past that. Now keep in mind with duty free, if you end up buying something that is a liquid and don't have a direct flight to your destination, you may on your connecting flight have to go through another security. It's not always, but sometimes it does happen. And even though it was duty free, it still has to be under 100 milliliters. So you are all good to go if you are headed straight to your destination. But if you do have that layover, I'd maybe skip the liquids part. Once you move past the duty-free area, now it's time to find your gate. Now, if it doesn't say your gate on your boarding pass, then you're going to want to find one of those big boards that we were talking about before. Still organized the same way by departing time. It'll have your flight number, your destination, and if you go all the way to the right, instead of the check-in desk, now it's going to show where your plane is departing from. It also will show if a flight is delayed or on time. Now, if you don't see your flight, don't panic. That might just mean that you are actually too early for it to show up on the board. So have a look at what the last flight is, and if that time is before the time that your plane is going to depart, then you have time to just sit back and relax, go get a coffee, go get some food, go sit in a lounge. Really do whatever you want, but make sure you are keeping track of time so that you can check the board later on and make sure you know which gate you have to go to. If you are someone who happens to be more forgetful, then make sure you set a timer just to give yourself a little heads up to check that board again because you don't want to miss your flight.
After you've read the big board and you see where your gate is, which is typically A, B, C, D, so on, with some sort of number attached, maybe just wander down, make sure your gate exists.
This is something that we like to do a lot of the time before we can fully relax.
And then you can head back, grab yourself a coffee, go to the lounge, all of those great things that everybody loves.
And this is just because sometimes, depending on the size of the airport, maybe there's another passport control or security, or maybe it's just a really long walk that you didn't anticipate to get to your gate. So it's always a good idea to just go make sure you know exactly where your gate is going to be so that you don't have any of these unexpected surprises as you are trying to hurry to your flight, just in case it's already boarding. Once you are at your gate, then keep your eyes and your ears peeled for any boarding announcements. Now, not everyone boards the plane at the same time, so you're going to want to look at your boarding pass to see what zone you are in. Typically, it's about zone 1 through 5, with 1 and 2 generally being priority or business class passengers first. Once they make the announcement that boarding has actually started, you're generally going to see a mass of people quickly hurry with their bags to the desk. Now, if you are traveling with a personal item only, and this is the item that goes under your seat on the plane, then you can just sit back and relax and laugh at all the people who are trying to get on the flight super early, because you have nothing to hurry for. However, if you are traveling with carry-on bags, now this is what Graham and I do, then you may want to consider being ready for when your zone is called, because unfortunately there is never enough overhead bin space for your carry-on bags to go. So if you happen to board last because you didn't want to get up in line, then sometimes your bag can be super far away from you, or the flight attendants might have to take it and store it with the other checked bags, which means then after your flight you are going to have to go to the baggage drop-off point and sit and wait for your bag to get there, which kind of defeats the purpose of carry-on in the first place. So generally, we do try to board when our zone is called if we do have our carry-on bags with us. However, there is no need to stand so close to the desk before your zone is even called.
Now, sometimes if the flight is very full, they'll actually ask for volunteers to check their carry-on bag for free. And sometimes it's not so bad of an idea. Robin and I typically like to do it if we're on our way home, because if we're on our way to a destination, we like to have our bags and we know they won't get lost. But if we're at home and we've got a few days to kill, it's okay if they're a little bit late.
Generally, they're not, but that is just always a worry. And plus, it's way nicer to go through the airport with just one bag instead of two. So that's just something that we like to do. Maybe that's something you like to do as well.
When you start to board, the flight attendant will typically ask for two things. One, a piece of ID, so either a passport or a driver's license.
Passport if you're going international.
And your boarding pass. They'll check all your information and send you on your way. Next, you'll follow a little tunnel, typically, and it'll lead you either straight to the plane, out to the tarmac where you walk to the plane, or to a bus. Now, it's very hard to get lost at this stage. Just follow the crowd, follow the ropes, follow where people are directing you, and you will be just fine.
And just like that, you are on the plane heading to your destination. If you have any connecting flights, you're pretty much just repeating the process of when you get to the airport, because there may be additional security or passport control that you're going to have to do. But don't worry, because you know all of the steps.
Now that you are an expert on how to get through the airport, it's time to go pack your bags and head out on your next vacation.
We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!
So when it comes to timing on the day of your travel day, whoa, I don't know where I'm going with that.
Do you want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I tried. Okay, your pockets are empty. Should I say that?
No. Are we done?
I think so.
Okay.